All right, very well. We're coming to you live from Manzoni Lodge. This is the venue of the Higher Education Loans Board, the 2017 Consultative Forum. Well, this is an area, I don't know, Machakos County. How many of you know Manzoni Lodge? Kind of a cool area. We're patched right in the middle of the Ukambani Hills. Pretty cool air, I must say, not compared to, of course, what we used to down at the Nation Center. This is an entire team. As you can see, it's a room full of packed of stakeholders in the university and, of course, higher education and, of course, tertiary institutions stakeholders who are represented here. So another big round of to yourselves also for making it right here. Did you begin? Thank you very much. My name is Laban Clifton Serio. I'll be the moderator for this very brief panel. We'll be looking at how do we maintain peace in the run-up towards the general elections later this year. And of course, I'm joined by an entire team right at the front here. Feeling quite dwarfed, I must say, because these are all professors and deans and dons from various institutions, and of course, various stakeholders who've made this happen. So another round of applause, please, to our panelists. From my far right, I'm going to introduce, his name is Professor Timothy Washira, who's the Vice Chancellor at Daystar University, and also a board member at the Higher Education Laws Board. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Next to him, we have Charles Ringera. Charles Ringera is the CEO of HELB, the Higher Education Laws Board, a career banker, I must say, with over 20 years of experience. A round of applause, please, to him. Next to Charles is Johnson Ondicho, who's the head of digital payments at KCV Group, who is actually also our main sponsors for today. So a round of applause, please, to Johnson. Representing the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Of course, this is the institution that's charged with delivering the elections for this year. A lot of pressure to you. His name is Rasi Masudi, who's the Director of Voter Education and Partnership at the IEBC. A round of applause, please, to Rasi. Well, this is a familiar face on NTV. I mean, most of you see him most mornings on AM Live. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Noah Midamba, who's the Vice Chancellor at KCA University, and who's also a security expert. And I know we'll be hearing from him, just snippets of his presentation later on. So another round of applause to Professor Midamba. Next to Professor Midamba, we're also joined by our academic registrar from Karatina University. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Dr. Wangare Gatuthi. Thank you so much for joining us. And next to Dr. Wangare, I'm going to be joined by Professor Christopher Gore, who's the Dean of Students at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University. A round of applause, please, to him. Thank you. And of course, the audience, and to you who's following us online and streaming this, or of course, watching this live on NTV or streaming this online, the hashtag is HELB Uniforum. HELB Uniforum. Please, we would like to hear from you. Let's participate in this discussion, of course, digitally, of course, and in presence. And of course, with the team that's here, we're just going to have a presentation, and then later on, we're going to have an interactive session. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start from Rasi. It's your mandate. First of all, how many days are we to the general elections? I'm sorry, I'm a journalist, but I'm asking you a question. Sorry. 83 days. So countdown. 83 days to go to the general elections. We just want to know from IBC, what are some of the kind of sensitization areas? And I'm looking at here, we have also student leaders, we have representatives of stakeholders from various universities. How are we engaging them, to maintain peace in the run-up towards the elections?
Thank you very much. I think I'll mention here that as the election management body, we are trying very much to ensure that there's a peaceful election come August the 8th. And what we are doing first and foremost is to ensure that we are improving the management of the elections, and we are doing this through improving the technology, improving the electoral rolls, that is the reforms, and also the election processes. We are also engaging stakeholders, and we're going through a whole lot of stakeholders, starting first and foremost with the political parties, the civil society organization, state actors, and institutions of higher learning, where the majority of the youth are. The youth for us are very, very critical players in the election. They have a critical role, so we are engaging the university students, the college students, at the national level, where we are right now, but also at the county, constituency, and also at the ward levels, so that all these levels where youth are represented, we are engaging, we are doing voter education for them, and also getting ideas that we can actually use to ensure that we are having a peaceful environment. Yeah.
Professor Midamba, you're an expert in these fields. Is what IBC doing enough
there can never be enough. Barack Obama said recently that we are all moving toward a perfect union. There is no alternative. But to get to that perfect union is going to require every single person, every one of us, to transform to create what's called perfect union. IEBC is on the right course. We have to believe them. We have to work with them, and we have to make them better.
Charles, allow me to just start from before I go to Professor Washira. Why is it so important to help? Because I'm looking at kind of by the way, you actually share a building, you know. Help and, you know, IBC is all on the anniversary towers right at the city center. Why is this so important to you? And why would you be concerned about, you know, peace and tranquility in the institutions of higher learning from your side?
Thank you, Laban. It's interesting that you say we share a building. And I'll start with a statement recently. The former chairman of IBC met me at the basement of Anniversary Towers, and he told me he wants to move out of Anniversary Towers because of the student unrest. Then there was a clamor on him also, so I met him also there. I told him I also want to move out because of the clamor by the various political parties and political actors. And you know, that message told you one thing, that we are all together in this. Now, if you look at the student leaders here, most of them are in their offices through an electoral process. So unless we maintain peace through that electoral process, then even the student leaders we have here are not going to sit in the position they are sitting in. And what we have seen, the throughput from university student leadership comes through to parliament and leaders in this country. So for us, it is so critical at such a time that we work with actors like IEBC, actors like, you know, the student, the university fraternity, and also working with the security agents to see that everybody is actually participating well in terms of his or her democratic rights. So as a board, we are committed to see that this also goes through so that we can have a stable environment to be able to execute our mandate, which is funding higher education.
I want to go to the institutions just now. Prof, just hold the mic. I'm coming to you. How many student leaders do we have in the house today? Let me see by show of hands. I just saw a few. Wow. Why did you all go right to the back? And you're very quiet today. But when you go to Anniversary Towers, most of you are never quiet at times when your loan hasn't been disbursed. Johnson, you're not too far off. Allow me just to maybe by age perhaps. Perhaps in your uni days, and I'm just looking at kind of the youth and all with all this upheaval, with all this kind of why is there so much focus? Because we are the guys, perhaps, who are always called upon or fingers are pointed at us for not maintaining peace, maybe because our loans are not being disbursed or our man was not elected.
Thank you very much, Cliff. I'm very excited to be here looking at the age. Sorry, I'm the youngest, and probably be able to connect more to this. As they say, a nation depends on youth to progress. So for a nation to progress, there must be peace prevailing among the youths. Very important. Because we are the conduit and the fuel that sparks is used to cause this violence. Those days, when we were in campus, the excitement around the political arena, I don't know why, they came and used us. It's very important we start thinking through the next country, the next organization. I want to talk about corporate as a bank. We are an enabler of progress. And for us to be able to enable a country to progress, we must lavish in a peaceful environment. And for us as a bank, starting from the top, my CEO, the group chairman, my CEO, the message this year is very clear. We must support all the peace initiative by becoming that peace agent from within and outside in our communities.
Thanks, Johnson. I think as head of digital bank, I'm going to come back to you because I think you also give a voice from the private sector. Allow me now to move to the academia, yeah? And Professor Washira, you begin. You represent university in, of course, Daystar. Wait a minute, again, not too far from here, the Athi River campus. just look at kind of the other processes. How do you assist? Because I think as IIBC, they mentioned about going to the wards, they might not be able to reach everyone. But from your side, with the influence that you have and with the number of students you oversee, I don't know how else can you be able to assist IIBC in partnering to support peace initiatives?
We are committed to assisting IIBC because this is our country. And it is a country that will be there beyond 8th of August. It's a country where we will need to live in and to live in peace. We do recognize that students and professors in the universities are highly recognized in the country. And therefore they have a voice that can be listened to within their communities where they come from. And our students, we have more than 5,000 students at Daystar, and they come from every part of this country. And therefore we are a voice that communicates to our own communities. And at Daystar we are committed that between now and 8th of August, we shall be holding group discussions on matters of reconciliation. And so that will be transmitted to the communities.
Professor Gore, how is it in Germany?
Yeah, thank you. For me, first of all, I would like to start by saying how many deans of students are here. So that group that have actually raised their hands are the mothers and fathers of these student leaders we are talking about. But first of all, it is important to take notice of the fact that at each of the universities, we have elections regularly. And therefore, the student leaders who are here, actually, they are mirror images of what is happening at the national level. But our work as the deans of students is actually to nurture and show them that this particular country is theirs and ours as a whole. So therefore, through their electioneering processes, we actually get them through training programs where we talk about leadership and management of student affairs. And actually, to be fair, although the competition is very stiff, but at the end of the day, they mirror what the majority of the students have elected. So therefore, through this process of electioneering and the training, and also in some particular cases, we also have peace builders through students, where they reach out to each other during electioneering period, and also inculcate the sense of responsibility, so that those who are elected or not elected, they agree at the end about the winners. Thank you.
Professor Gore, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I covered the Kisumu primaries just the other day. This was in Kisumu County. Your university is kind of in close proximity to this. I'm just looking at, does it scare you maybe at times that perhaps some of your students can even trickle into the streets, especially in such, high political temperatures, Susan?
Well, just as I indicated, the students are you and me in terms of where they come from. So therefore, what happens probably at the public level, they also have a feeling just like other human beings. And by the way, historically, the student leaders have been very particular in articulating national issues, starting way back from the 80s, although that time it was very violent in terms of their participation, but slowly but surely they have come of age and they have realized that actually through violence, they don't gain much because they are the sufferers. So whenever students are engaged, particularly in public demonstrations, they are simply articulating issues that touches the fabric of the nation or of a people.
Is that to say that they get some backing from the Vice Chancellor? We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Allow me now to move to Dr. Gathuthi, and I think you will speak, on behalf of the Dean of the Dons of students who are here. Let's again, by a show of hands, I think there are very many of you. Let's look at, because you're directly in touch with the students. First, let's talk about the issues. And I think once you address the issues is when now you can be able to also sensitize them on peace initiatives.
Okay, thank you very much. The universities and specifically Karatina, and I believe all the others are very committed to issues of peace in the country and over this particular time. And like my colleague has said here, that quite a number of things have been put in place. And we are not just being caught off guard that the period is here, elections are here, these are the number of days. Things have already been put on place. For example, at Karatina in March, we held a cohesion and integration conference, international, that we had a very good representation from all the universities. Like also mentioned, the student leaders are quite aware of the need for peace. They are the ones who guide the students on the need for them to adhere within the time frame of the curriculum, of the academic program. If there is any issue that interferes with the security, with the peace of the institution, they know that it directly affects them. No one wants to go for more than 4 years. If anything, they would want them shorter. So that's the commitment. And this is a very important group that is here. Those in charge of monies, in charge of finance, the registrar in charge of academics, and the dean of students who take the other affairs of the students. Thank you.
I'll come back to you to give a motherly feel to it, because, you know, when a lady and a mother speaks, I think perhaps tempers might cool down in a way. Professor Midamba, I want to come back to you because you have international experience. To our viewers who are just joining us, he was competing with me to be the moderator, as you can see with his bow tie. But, well, I'm leading the discussion. Just give us international benchmark. How is it done out there? You were based in the United States for quite a while, and you bring in an international feel and international experience on how do you address peace and tranquility in the country.
Thank you, Laban. I'm very proud to be here in front of you. By the way, my dean, Roger Bongo, Roger, raise your hand, turn around, let everybody see you. He has a bow tie like me. He's the youngest dean. Let me just begin with KCA University first. We are the second largest private university right now with 16,000 students. Last year, out of that 16,000 students, there are only 4 students from Samburu. And the president and the vice president of the student union were from Samburu. That tells you something about moving toward a perfect union. We also have a clear representation of the face of Kenya. When you look at our administrative structure, you look at our student leadership. In other words, our students don't throw stones. They communicate. Isn't it, Rogers? And I'm very, very proud with the progress we have made in 5 years. I live in the United States for over 30 years. I'm both American and Kenyan citizen. I came when I was vice president of Kent State University, which is the second largest public university in the state of Ohio. And we went through serious reformation in terms of harmonizing relationship between different races and international community. And Kent State today is one of the best in the United States. So that's the experience I bring forward, and that is what we are doing at Kent State, where am I? KCA University.
Just in case, it's nice that you have a feel that you're in the United States, which is still good. Yeah. Shows you are top of the class.
Thank you.
Prof, so what can Kenya learn? I'm just looking at what can Kenya learn. It's still, again, you mentioned the US. The youth went through an election, similar as we want, not to compare apple and oranges, but still, I feel and speaking as a business reporter, the economic kind of cycles that we go towards, especially during the elections, is really not welcome. And maybe Johnson will expand onto that in terms of, investors are afraid, perhaps people want to hold back investments. Now you're looking at, people are not quite sure about, let's look at tourism and what have you. But from where you see it, I don't know what some of the key lessons Kenya and the US can learn.
Laban, a lot. Just remember this, folks. Think about Cote d'Ivoire right now, where military are coming out with big guns to demand for increase in salary. Think about Somalia, which was no country and now is emerging. Think about South Sudan, who are busy butchering each other. Now, 1991 and 2007, 28,000 Kenyans died. 360,000 were displaced, and billions of properties were destroyed. And after every election in the last 50 years, after every election, we sink, economic sink, and it takes us about 7, 8 months in order to rise back. Okay, so what is at stake here is that we have 19 million people have registered to vote. About that number, between the age of 18 and 35% represent 60% of the people who are going to vote. Now, that is the stake we have. We have a country which is better than any other country in East Africa. We have a country that can be a model in this continent. And hooligans and self-seekers are busy destroying it. Can we, as Kenyans, afford to have that? That is the question that every single one of us have to answer.
Thank you very much, Prof. And coming back to IBC, in terms of just ensuring that, are there areas perhaps you've marked up as kind of, well, I want to use was a hotspot, but very loosely here, not to mean that there actually violence taking place, but areas that you need to actually ensure that you mitigate or you reach out to as soon as possible in education?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, I'll also share here that IBC has partnered with other institutions. I think you recently saw that we are launching the election security arrangement project, which we launched at KICC. And this is a partnership between IBC, the National Police Service, the WIANO platform, and other stakeholders supported by UNDP. The idea about that particular program is to ensure that we're working very closely with the police, not really to provide security in terms of guns and all that, but basically to engage the police, one, through training, better coordination, accountability, and being able to actually engage voters and stakeholders through the election process. And as you can see, this is almost 2.5 or 3 months to the election day. So it's not like traditionally it was when we just waited during the election day and we go to the police stations and get security people who are not briefed about what they should be doing. So that particular project basically is going to enhance our engagement with students and with every voter, so that when we are actually talking about peace, we're not talking about peace in as far as the availability of a gun or something like that, but really engaging everybody so that there's effective participation of the voter and stakeholders in the electoral process. I think it's also important that to note that IBC is doing all it can to ensure that we are running an election that is free, fair, and credible, but it requires the participation, as the professor said, the participation of each stakeholder, including the voter. If you look at right now, we are going through the verification process, that is the verification of the register of voters. That is a critical process that we need every voter and stakeholder, including all of us here. Because the law now demands that when you come to vote, you will be identified biometrically. Your fingerprints or your face will identify you, as opposed to the past where you could do it manually. So it's important that every one of us, therefore, verifies their details in the register so that there's no conflict, because some of the challenges we get during the election day is that conflict brought about by, somebody thought that he was in the register, but is not there. So what we are emphasizing here is that the effective participation of every voter and stakeholder, we work together right now all the way to the election day. That is really, really critical, and we really want to appreciate the role of the universities and particularly the students. University students have a lot of influence at the local level, at this level. So for us, this is a great partner that we want to work with, so that as we engage in voter education, we also need to let the political players, the contestants, be prepared, because IBC is doing its preparation. The political players or contestants need to prepare to win or prepare to lose. Because in every contest, even in football or any game, there's always a winner and a loser. So as you walk into the contest, you need to be prepared that if I win, then this is how I'm going to behave. If I don't win, then this is also how, because we need Kenya Kenya is bigger than all of us. Thank you.
I like that you call it for sobriety. Take for instance, let's just do a quick analysis here. If you were to combine students from Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University, that's about roughly how many students? How many students? Yes, students you have? About 15,000. Add to DASIS 5,000, and Karatina University? 8,000, my goodness. Look at the entire mass, I would say, of kind of foot soldiers you can get. How do we enhance, volunteerism? Because I would feel that perhaps even with the facilitators, it's a cost to IBC. How do we, enhance volunteerism so that even the students now can be champions of peace at the grassroots level?
Very, very important. I also just want to share that I had Professor one of us saying that the institutions actually are a mirror image of Kenyans. You go to any institutions, whether you go to Technical University of Mombasa and all the way to Karatina, you'll find every community there. There is the Samburu, the Turkana, the Mduruma, everybody there. I think we are also, as a commission, having in our employment, we have the entire face of Kenya in the commission. And we have a structure that takes us all the way to the constituency level. What we are saying is that every campus here has a very accessible resource that can partner in actually mobilization. Our staff at the constituency level, at the county level, will be able to partner with the universities to be available, especially when you're organizing those forums. We will be there to really participate, facilitate, provide maybe some materials, either in hard copy or soft copies, so that we can reach as many players as possible. And I think we'll really wish to be part of all these forums that are held, as long as we are informed. Because the structure allows that everyone from whichever county can get IBC staff to be part of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Moving on to you, Johnson. Yes. Mr. Ndicho, as I mentioned, during an election year, the investor community, financial institutions such as yourselves are worried. And I just don't know what's the feeling at KCB, but just kind of give a general perspective even at this point in time. From a private sector, initiative also, what are some of the causes they can do?
Thank you very much. I would want to talk about the general economic ecosystem. And I give an example of tourism industry before I come even to banking, tourism. Look at it. From July, August, September, we don't have any single booking on our tourist hotels. As we speak from this month, we've seen a decline interest by investors. What does that mean? There is less inflow of FCY, foreign currencies coming into our country. What does that mean? It creates that imbalance of our currency. Then it makes the dollar start getting that strain and making our imports become expensive. What does that result to? Everything goes high, the prices goes high. What does it happen to the common mwananchi? The unga story starts coming in. It is what is happening in the election, what we've been able to portray. The unga song starts in. Can we start looking at what is happening economically? It does not affect us physically, but economically, it actually comes in and really hits hard. As a bank, we are going slow in terms of lending because businesses are not coming for money because they don't want, they are fearing expansion at this time. What does that mean again? There's less and less opportunities for our people. That's what happens. Nobody is employing at this time. Nobody is expanding. So it means there is less in terms of economic empowerment. And that's what exactly is happening at the economy.
Charles, I have attended your roadshows, one being at the University of Birmingham in the UK. And of course, you're trying to make sure that you recover money that is out there. How much do you have out there in outstanding payments? Please don't tell me how much I owe you. But still, this economic story, this UNGA story, does it scare you that you might not be able to meet your targets for the year?
Yes, I think I'll start with how much is old. Yeah, of course, being old, on which I will tell you from a bank perspective, that is the pride of any bank. When you create assets and people are using the assets for economic generation of resources, That's what they like. Even us, when you lend the student, currently the students are carrying about 20 billion. We are happy when they are carrying that kind of money. But more importantly is when they start now repaying, that money. About 23 billion is now out. It's supposed to be repaid. We have what you call difficult accounts. What you would say, they have gone past their life in terms of repayment, which is about 9.5 billion. And for sure, we have started feeling the heat of elections. As Johnson was saying, because of the economic environment, what tend to happen is that these retrenchments then start coming in. We are the first people who feel any indication of a rising cost, because you'll have to buy unga before you repay help. So for us to get a conversation where we are prioritized, it is in an economic situation where the economy is thriving, that you have bought your unga, that you have repaid your commercial loan, and then eventually you then think about help. We're starting a fresh conversation so that we can see whether we can occupy a better state in terms of having the student know that, yes, I'm where I am today, and I'm economically productive because of somebody who empowered my dreams. That you stood on the shoulders of our Education Loans Board to see the world. It is important to remember those shoulders as even you think about unga. I'm not saying you go hungry before you actually repay help, but it is important to see how do you share the split. Like, one presidential candidate in this country said, you don't have to fill yourself full. Leave some space for air and water. So as you take your meal, please leave some space also to repay your Higher Education Loans Board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Washira, I don't know if you can weigh in on that, because you chair the recovery committee. So from a board perspective, what's the strategic feeling?
I think what we are discussing as we talk about peace during elections, we are saying we are one community. We are one Kenya. And this is not a Kenya that is dependent on a period. It is a Kenya that is going on, and we need one another. And therefore, let's think about that as we move on. Then, as it comes to repayment of loan, is that when one is helped, we actually don't even check who it is. We check at the students in the country. We check at our people and the number that we need to help. Then when you are helped, you need to acquire the same mind that we are one people. There are others who are in the same need as you are in. And your repayment, the repayment of your loan is not giving to the government. The government never takes a coin of the money that is returned. I think that is critical to get. It was the government who gave the money, but when you return it, it is never given back to the government. It is given back to your fellow needy student. And that to help them in the same way you are helped. So let's spread the message. We need one another. We are one community.
All right, thank you very much. Please, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, to this exciting panelists. I'm going to come to you just now, but I want Samidama to just kind of just react to this. What's standing out for you, even as you will continue with these deliberations? And then I just want our ushers to please position themselves. We're going to come to you for the question and answer session just about now.
One thing that is very clear for us to understand is what Sir Winston Churchill said at one point, is that democracy is the worst form of government, but it's better than everything else that have been tried. The most important thing for us to remember on all this thing is each one of us, whether we are students, whether we are workers, is how do we understand what's going on? How are we involved? And how do we take ownership? Because there is no two Kenyans. And they're not all these tribes you are talking about. The closest I can get is that there are two tribes, those who have and those who don't have. People who live in Korogocho behave the same way. People who goes to the highest club in Nairobi behave the same way. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. So where are all this tribalism and all this kind of thing coming? This is a cheap way to divide the people for people who are thinking about self, but not thinking about the bigger picture. We must not let that happen to us. And borrowing money is an obligation. And I think my friends here said it very, very clearly. If you don't pay that money, either the bank is going to close or other people will never get opportunity to have the same opportunity to have. And therefore, we have to be committed really to make this country better, grow our economy, become a better example. Those are the bigger picture that every one of us are going after.
Thank you. From a motherly perspective, I don't want to say Dr. Gatuthi.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, the only mother at the front here. We've been talking about gender balance and equity, well projected from a ministry point of view, but we have all to take responsibility and implement it. So I would have expected to have more company here, but I appreciate the minimal
Can we
that
have
has
ladies
been
asking
given.
questions? Let me see the first lady to ask a question today.
Yes.
Yes, right at the back there. We'll make sure we have you well
Most
represented.
affected are us, women, mothers, my sisters are the most affected. As you talk about Unga right now, those people who are suffering most are the women because of those children that they have around them in the house. As a registrar at the university, the concern currently is that admission is not based on bed space. We are relying on help that we have to give information so that they can be able to sponsor the students. And they are all sponsored differently. They come from very varied background. The resources are scarce. They would want to fund more, but very, very limited. So we know the strain that these people are going through, a lot of strain. And therefore, once we talk about peace, when peace is called for, we are the first to support it because we know that what it means to us. I mentioned that we would not want any disruption and of the future. And this peace or getting into the normal rhythm of our day-to-day activity begins with each one of us. Our students are quite aware about that. Our leaders with their very big influence, they just need to blow a whistle and you see everybody run around them. They have their way of communicating. When I want to pass any message to the 8,000 students, I just need to identify the chairman. Where are you? Tell this to the students. In the next 5 minutes, the message is well communicated. So these people here are very, very important. And apart from that, they come from every part of the country, every part of the country. And I want to believe in every part of the country, those who have gone to the university are identified by a neighbor. We may say that so many people today have gone to the university, but the current ones who are there, they are known. And so many people look up to them. They admire them. And therefore, they have a great responsibility. And we keep on reminding them about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, the first question, of course, will be taken by... Yeah, you want to clap to your mother? Thank you. We'll have that question. Of course, I see there's a lady right at the back. We'll come into you just now. There's a quick clarification from the IBC. I just want Razi to just quickly respond to the issue of hotspots just now.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I just needed to clarify that, yes, as we are preparing for the elections, we have worked with the other development partners, specifically IDEA, where we're running a partnership project to really do an election risk management mapping of the country. And using a tool, we have actually categorized the country in areas where we feel there's more risk to election violence than in other areas. And we also want to mention here that election violence sometimes is triggered by something totally different from the election. It is not maybe sometimes about the result of an election. It is areas where sometimes there has been other causes of, problems between other communities. So based on that, if that is not resolved, when it comes to election day, all of a sudden that becomes a reason or an excuse for the violence. So we have mapped this, and as I said, with the ESAP project, we're working with the security and also the stakeholders. What we are doing is that now we are engaging more in those areas with the leaders there, the opinion leaders, the security officers in those areas, so that we actually identify and deal with the challenges that we have in those areas to ensure that during the election day, then the challenges that were there do not become, a reason for violence. So yes, we have done some mapping, and we are working to ensure that in those areas we are taking more initiative to ensure that there is peace. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Razi. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please clap for my panelists one more time. Just if you're joining us right now on this live broadcast, we're coming to you live from Manzoni Lodge, which is the 2017 Higher Education Loans Board Consultative Forum. The hashtag for this discussion is HELB Uni Forum. I see most of us who are really tweeting. Andy Mutua says the relationship between economy and the loan repayment is very minimal. Borrowing HELB loan is obligation, so it's mandatory to pay. Well, repaying HELB loan is educating one another to the needy students. Of course, that's retweeting from that's Kake at Length 2030. We also have Kahiu 79 saying that HELB repayments are not given to government. It goes to other needy students, which is very important, just reiterating what Professor Washiro said. And many more, so please keep them coming. And your questions, I'll be able to fill them. So I think this is also just reiterating what Charles said, like 23 billion is owed to HELB, and of course 9.5 billion shillings remains out there. So Kenya is one, and we are one people, also just reiterating what Professor Midamba said. And then the last but not least from Kirienya Minor saying that the economic constraints directly affect repayment of loans, especially now with the election quote-unquote fever. So yeah, we'll sample most of them, so please keep them coming. And now I'm going to move on to our stakeholders who have attended this forum. Let me see by show of hands, where are you? Who's going to go first? So first of all, the first mic will go to a lady. Just so that this says, yes, right at the back, Wabi, yes. So the first mic will go to her. We'll take a round, so please just briefly say your name and who your question is directed to. Not sure we get you, but you can still just try to be a bit louder, then I can try and... Go on. I can try and get your question. I'll be able to field it to. All right, just a bit of passing. Let me see the second question. Let me see just so that we know. Kelvin, right at the front here. There's Kelvin Mushemi right at the front. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wavi, I'll leave it to you right at the back. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Mary Wosianju, Dean of Students, University of Kabianga, Kericho. Now, my question goes to the IEBC representative. Now, you talked of engagement of students of institutions of higher learning at county level. Now, us in Kericho, we have had our own programs like having the Cultural Week. We had a peace walk. And universities like University of Kabianga, we have Mount Kenya, we have Kenyatta University. But we have not felt the engagement of IEBC. So I would just like to know, how is your mode of selection for engagement, or what can we do to get that engagement from the IEBC?
Thank you very much. Moving on swiftly, there's a mic right at the front.
There's a request from a student union leader.
Yes, we need a representative from students, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Cyrus Karonji. Yes. I'm Cyrus Karonji from Kirinyaga University. I have a question about, it's on the IEBC. Okay, you know, when we talk about peace, peace is a long-term thing that we should consider always. Not about the weighted presidential and the state elections, but in our universities, we want peace to learn all the way. So there was this act of parliament about the elections, the delegate voting system, but then there was a court order to stop it. So I wanted to ask whether the IEBC can bring about a system to bring uniformity in the elections of the university so that we cannot have confusions and the students having different ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure your Dean of Students will allow that, but anyway. Let's the lady in red. Yes, the lady in red, right so next to the pillar. Yes.
My name is Margaret John, University of Nairobi. I'm the acting deputy finance officer in charge of students. My question goes to IEBC. The question is, you are now going to get the people to vie for various positions. What mechanism are you going to use so that we don't elect thieves in the coming election? Thank you.
Good people, we have a panel of about 8. Why are you all harassing IABC? Please, just pass on. Yes, the gentleman who's right here. We're trying as much as possible really to take all questions, but the thickness of time, yes, keep it short.
Thank you. My name is Mohammed, Dean of Students, Karatina University. I have 2 questions. One is directed to IEBC, of course, of the approaching elections. The question is, now that you cannot employ many youths to go and propagate peace in the village, how practical is it for you to call for a day or 2 workshop of these student leaders, sensitize them, and then send them as peace ambassadors to the villages before the election? That is one. The second one goes to the CEO Higher Education Loans Board. You really like your loan to be repaid back immediately. We want to support you in that. But the question is, how possible is it for your organization to sensitize these other organizations that are there in the country to pick up immediately our students as they graduate as internships? Then they start immediately paying back. Thank you.
Last one on this, right is behind here, right at the front, Kevin. Is that another one? Okay. All right, please. Okay. Let's have a student later.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Brian from Kirinyaga University, and I want to start by saying that Kirinyaga University, we are united for peace during the electoral period.
A round of applause for that. That's great.
So my question goes specifically to Professor Timothy, or to the CEO for help. And I want to ask, what are you doing to ensure that the first-time applicants, that is, they get their loans immediately or at their appropriate time? Because you come to find that many first years, the people who join, they usually don't get their loans at appropriate time. And still, even right now, there are those who joined in 2016, 2017 year, and up to now, they have not gotten their help, especially the tuition fee for 4,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, right at the front, Wabi, I'll leave it up to you to decide who's going to be the last one to just ask the question, all right? And then we'll just pass it on to you, and then you just quickly respond to that as we give our closing remark as we enter this.
Okay, good morning. My name is Kevin Mushemi, at the Financial Aid Office at Strathmore University. Just a quick comment. First, that our mantra at Strathmore is that all may be one. So we stand for peace and unity. And then a quick question to Professor Washira regarding help, the quotas for private universities. You would agree with me that education at private universities is quite costly. The law program, for example, at Strathmore is currently costs 1.8 million, so 450 a year. And looking at the amounts of disbursements we've been getting, we get about 35,000 once in a year. So for a student, that's about 8% financing. I'm not sure what you're doing about increasing the quota or whatever other opportunities you have for private university students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. A round of applause, please, to all of you who asked the questions. Come on, I gave you a simpler idea. You know, just tweet. I'm going to sample your questions just now, so keep on. Razi, you are coming under immense pressure from everyone. I'll give it up to you, just really quickly respond to that, and then I'm going to ask everyone just to give the closing remarks also as you want to pick up, because I want also Professor Goro to respond to that idea about IBC coming in the students' elections. The Dean of Students, are you happy with that?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not surprised by the number of questions. This is our season, so I think I expected a lot of questions on elections. Kabianga University, it's true, as I mentioned, it may not be very clear how you are engaging, but we engage all the institutions. Previously, the structure had a regional coordinator in charge of the South Rift region, which was very far, based in Bomet. Right now, we have a county election manager in Kericho town, and he's actually working with the constituency coordinators in all the constituencies in Kericho. I think there are about 6. So I think once you get in touch with the constituency coordinator, constituency election manager, it will be possible to actually arrange that, and we have that partner. We need it, so we will be there. The Act of Parliament, in order to bring delegates voting system, I guess maybe the parliamentary system, I think that now is the domain of our parliamentarians. They make the laws. IBC conducts elections based on the law. So currently, it is presidential system. We do vote directly for our president. Maybe as you keep on engaging parliamentarians, lawmakers, maybe it could, but basically as a commission, we will conduct the election based on the current approved law. Mechanisms for vetting candidates, yes, we are working with other institutions because IBC alone cannot really have the capacity to be able to vet. I think you know that there is a, in the Constitution, Section 6, basically we are saying HELB is a player in that. The Ethics and Corruption Commission, they also have a role. But when you come to IBC, we have particular qualifications that will make a candidate qualify to vie. And they are very clear as we have outlined in law. So basically, we will use those. However, there are other mechanisms of vetting a candidate. We have just come from primaries. You, the voters, had the opportunity to actually vet the candidates who you feel are not really qualified. They are corrupt and all that. The voter has that capacity. There's a second round on the 8th of August. You can actually vet them off in the sense of you make your choice to vote the right candidate. So we will do our best using the laws that you have given us to manage, but at the end of the day, the voter has the final say. Yes, holding workshops to sensitize voters. Actually, we have been doing this, only that maybe we have not been visible because we have been coming with partners. Some of you have hosted Kubamba, this show that comes out on Sunday. Those young people have worked with the universities, several universities. That has been an initiative of the IBC, only that it comes through the forums of the youth. So we like to do more of that so that at the end of the day, we are very much with you in the implementation of these peace initiatives. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Razi. Well informed, and now I understand why Ezra Chiloba sent you to represent him. A round of applause, please, because you're under immense pressure, and this falls directly in your docket. To your closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start from Professor Gore, of course. I want you to just respond to Cyrus, where he was saying that how can IBC come in? Because I'm not quite sure. It doesn't mean that you cannot be able to handle student elections.
Yeah, thank you. Well, on that particular issue, I would like to state that each university have an electoral board. So therefore, during the elections, we have the electoral board which is in charge of overseeing the elections. But even after having said that, there are challenges. So at the end of the day, in most universities, including UWUST, we have made proposals to partner with IEBC so that it can inspire some confidence and public participation by the students. But already as we are talking, there's an amendment act called Universities Amendment Act 2016, which actually has reduced the number of student governing council. So therefore, in that particular case, it means that we are going to have a reduced tension because the number has been drastically reduced. So therefore, expectations are that it will be easier for us now to manage, but more importantly, we are open to improve by actually engaging other stakeholders that can help.
Thank you very much. A round of applause, please, to Professor Gore's closing remarks. Dr. Thuthi, your closing remarks.
Okay, thank you. I would want to call on all of us, the students, leaders who are here, and every individual, that the future in our hands. We have to preach peace. The greatest concern is of the mother. Me, a representative of mother, me, a mother of the Karatina University students, I would really wish to see peace. And challenges are there in terms of not accepting results, But in a football match, there is always a winner. In any game, there is always a winner. And it is also very important that we respect each other. We do politics of issues rather than persons, so that we don't hurt emotions. And we know that once we provoke emotions, it is what leads to a lot of chaos. Thank you.
Dr. Gathuthi, thank you so much for speaking with us. And just to realize, actually, most of your students were the ones asking the questions, so also pastoring at Karatina University. Prof, if you do not manage to finish this on here, we'll call you up at AM Live and just clear it. But I just want your closing remarks also as kind of our takeaways.
Thank you, Laban. This is a defining moment for those of us who are sitting in this room and those of us who are watching, those of us who are out in the field cultivating food for us, those of us who are cooking, preparing for us. 50 years, some people will say is a very short time. But 50 years for me is a very long time. Should we continue this separation and conflict and destruction and create a situation where others who once come in this country and invest to make this economic viable, such that we can be an example to the world? Should we continue this end? Or should we go and look at the example of South Korea, which was exactly in the same place where Kenya is, and is now a first world country, and one of the highest economic growth in the world, and Singapore and the rest? I believe as Kenyan, we have ability, we have educated lot, we have quiet leaders who are not coming out, but this is the time for them to come out, and such that we can drive toward a perfect union.
Professor Mdawan, thank you so much. A round of applause, please, to him. Allow me to just move over to Professor Wachira, because you had a few questions you need to respond to really quickly, and also Charles Johnson will follow.
About the amount of money that we give to help, we would want to give adequate amount of money. But there are two parameters that dictate how much money do we give. First, the ability to repay. If you give a student 1 million shillings, they'll be very happy, they'll be able to pay your fees, they'll be able to, but will they get a job immediately and be able to repay that money? Will they have the capacity? And the answer is no. So it reaches, there's a ceiling because we predict on average what's the capacity to pay back. Secondly, the amount available to give. This year we have about 11 billion that we are going to give. Now, there are so many students available already registered in within the universities, and then there were new ones that are coming in. And when you distribute that in accordance to the level of poverty, which is a gauge that we put in, then the spread goes down. And that means those who are applying to come for law at Strathmore are not within our radar. Now, coming to the disbursement, quick and early disbursement. We actually don't keep money at HELB. We receive money from you who had received money before, and quickly we disburse. And we receive money from the government. So dependent on when and how we receive that money, that's what determines how quickly we disburse. Sometimes it is the constraints within the exchequer, and then the amount of money that we are receiving. It is our longing and our desire to quickly disburse any amount. And sometimes we have to do it in stages because we don't have the money available there. Because every coin that we receive, we give it out. Thank you.
Just quickly, also just as a closing remark, because I know you'll give a very strategic kind of a comment from the Higher Education Loans Board. Should we also expect similar forums? Because for you to gather, I mean, the entire hall is full. You know,
yes.
How can you also partner with IBC to ensure that such forums also are created, so we can have more of this?
More of the sessions like this one. First of all, we would want to applaud IBC for even coming along here and even this kind of communication. But what I like most is the openness to go to universities. And I think here I would want to encourage all the deans that are here, the student deans. Please, let's invite IBC to our universities. Let those forums be at our universities. Because even if we bring the student leaders together, they will now need to go and start putting their student leaders together. Would rather that the IBC comes to our respective universities so that we speak to more of the students in our universities. Thank you very much.
Professor Shira, thank you so much. A round of applause, please, to Prof. Charles, you also had a few questions you need to respond to, and then I'll beg for your closing remarks.
Thank you. I didn't have actually a few. I had only one question because my chairman has taken up one of the questions. But I'll just start with the closing remarks. I was, until very late last night, I was with the CEO of IEBC. And that's the time we connected with the director for voter education. And he was very committed to be here until, of course, he was summoned in a board meeting which started today at 7. And he's still saying he will look for an opportunity to see how we can be able to come together. So you have an IEBC which is ready to talk to people and be able to educate them. And you have people who are ready to listen to what IEBC needs to talk to say about maintaining peace and what we need to do in terms of voter verification and all that. But then the question has been, how do we bring them together? I hope out of this, Higher Education Loans Board has just demonstrated how that can be done, and we are excited to do it this morning. Moving forward for the various forums that need to be done, the question is just making a phone call to Masundi, and they will be there to facilitate that process. As I say, there is no way they can be able to map the entire needs of all the Kenyans. It is you to sit from where you are and say, this is what I require. That is what we did strategically when we were organizing for this forum. And we realized the current debate is on this area of electioneering, and then we decided to bring the various parties together. So please, in your own individual capacities, you have 3 months that you can actually bring them together for this question to be answered. I think I had only one question from Dean Karatina in terms of internship. They say, Jesus will save the world, you save what you can. That is what we are doing as Higher Education Loans Board. What we can is small, which is funding students. If we try to do job placement, it will be very difficult for us. It will be outside our mandate. We understand what is happening. We have our own ministry called Ministry of Labor. We have the NITA. And all these are concerned with the student placement after graduation. And by the way, Higher Education Loans Board is also part of the apprenticeship program started by government. So year on year, currently we have actually 30 apprentices who are running with the various issues in terms of educating our product. But they will be there only for 3 months or something like that to be able to sell our product. And that way we are helping the government in terms of that placement. We currently have 600,000 students in the universities. It is not practically possible for Higher Education Loans Board to start looking for placement for those 600,000. We can only participate in the small way that we can. And if we started doing that placement of those university students, what will happen is that funding will then have to be taken to somebody else. So that is why you have SAGAs and MDAs of government doing specific mandates that they are supposed to do. So for us, it's funding students at higher level of learning, and that is exactly what we passionately do. There was an issue that Professor Timothy Washira has touched on in terms of timely disbursement. And that is why this session is here. So later on, there are 2 critical people who will be making presentations. One is the Chief Operating Officer, and the other one is his Chief Finance Officer. That question fits directly there in terms of the plans we are doing to see that we have timely disbursement. But as Professor Washira says, help does not get money from any trees. It is the trees of Kenyans. And those Kenyans must pay taxes. When they pay taxes, it goes to KRA. KRA gives Treasury. Treasury then gives help in what is called a capitated manner. Capitation means they will give you over a 12-month period. So every end of maybe September, they will give you. So even if as much as I wanted to give in July, chances are that will be limited because government will not have given any capitation. And even for you, when your loan, when your loan actually mature, we don't expect you to pay the 200,000 we gave you once. You pay it with small quantums of 4,000. And every day now you're having conversations on, I can't afford 4,000 because my salary is 10,000. What else can I pay? When you say that, you're actually denying another kid to get money right on time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ondicho, your closing remarks.
Thank you very much. On my closing remarks, unfortunately, as in the private sector, that's the corporate world, as KCB to mention, we do not have, we are non-partisan when it comes to elections. But that does not mean we don't have a responsibility. We will stand against any form of prejudice, discrimination, and will be the change agent towards our society. It takes so many years to build organizations and even a country. For example, KCB has been in existence for 116 years, but it can take a day to bring it down, just a day. We are just stewards for your future. We are just holding. I can imagine the people who are there, for example, what could have happened if they could have brought down KCB today. If tomorrow you bring down our organizations, what will happen immediately you finish school? It is very important to protect what we've taken time, we've toiled for it, for us and for our children. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And last but not least, Razi, just very briefly, just because I know we are closing in just under about a minute, I think, from now.
Once a voter educator, forever one. Very, very simple. There are so many challenges that come during the election day, but one of the biggest challenges and disappointment to a voter is to go there and you find that your name is not there. It is one of the causes of conflicts during the election day, and that is what actually gives rise to violence and things like that. One of the key strategies to avoid that is to verify your details in the register of voters. I'm calling upon Kenyans to turn out. We have 30 days from last Thursday to do the verification of your details in the register. You go there, it is a 2-minute exercise within your ward. Visit any polling station that you actually identified to vote, or any other within the ward. You go there, we have our KIMS kits. You will just put your fingers, your name will pop up, and you will verify your photo, your ID, your polling station, and your full names, so that during the election day, there is no problem. It is not mandatory by law for you to go, but I can tell you, like the farmers, when it is raining, it's not mandatory for you to go and plant, but you know the consequences of not planting. So I'm really calling upon all voters, all of us who are here, to turn out and verify your details so that we can have a smooth election during the election day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Razi. And to the entire panelists, let's give a round of applause. Pana. Iyo ni makofi ya kura. How we do it at NTV is very simple. Just Pasha, everyone just Pasha for our panelists and to yourselves. Choma. Oh, let's do that again. Pasha and Choma. Thank you very much to all of you for being an amazing audience and to our panelists. I really want to thank you all very much. I would have mentioned each and every one of you by name, but just due to time, allow me to just close. I want to thank our sponsors, KCB, and the banks also that are represented here, Equity, NIC, also for making sure that we have this live broadcast right here from Manzoni Lodge. So another round of applause, please, to KCB. And you should download the app, by the way. And that is actually an initiative by Mr. Ondicho here, who's sitting under his department. And download the app so that you can pay your help loan. So let's just make that very clear. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to appreciate our online team at the behind the scenes. This production has been made possible by our producer here on the ground, Maureen Yukuru, and the team from NTV. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause, please, to NTV. Thank you. And particularly also from Maureen Yukuri, also Wavinya from Help, wherever she is. If you're having a bad day at Manzoni, you need to see Wavinya and just smile, okay? Because I think she has a round of applause, please, to Wavinya. Last but not least, to each and every one of you stakeholders, thank you again for your participation and all your remarks. I saw your tweets. I'm sorry we could not sample all of them. My name is Laban Clifford Seri. We'll be coming to you live from Manzoni Lodge. This is a 3-day conference. You cannot really cover everything in 1 hour, but be sure we'll keep you updated with all happenings right here at Manzoni Lodge for the 2017 Higher Education Laws Board Stakeholders Forum.